Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where the topic is PMBOK Best Practices for Standardizing Your Project Portfolio and Governance. My name is Robert Stickle. I'm also joined by my colleague, Jose Levy. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit any questions that you may have. I will address these during the webinar and will respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as we will be emailing a link of the presentation once it has been posted to our YouTube channel. Also, we will be sending out the PDU code for this event after the webinar as well. Thank you again, and now turn the presentation over to Jose.
And thanks everyone for joining us today to listen to our webinar on PMBOK Best Practices for Standardizing Project Portfolio and Governance. I know that's a big title, but really it's what I hope to convey is, kind of an update on where we are in terms of being able to align our solution to PMBOK, and also highlight some of the latest features in terms of where we're going with Gen AI and other areas to support alignment to PMBOK. So really, we're really all converging towards a common goal in our project organizations. And probably right now, the most overused term is the term outcomes, which really highlights what are we delivering? Are we making an impact from all the projects and programs and portfolios that we're managing? And I list agile, hybrid, and predictive because those are the three common project management approaches, and really one of the central points of PMBOK version 7, which is really the concept of tailoring and the concept of adaptability. So to that end, just a brief data points on history. In July 1st, 2021, PMBOK Guide 7 it comes out to the market, and it really represented a significant shift in project management thinking. The prior 6 versions were very much process-based and very structured, very rigid, and we'll go over some of that. Version 7 really turns it on its head and incorporates an approach that is more principles-based, with a lot more flexibility to what the organization, how the organization manages, the culture of the organization, and the approaches that can be used to execute projects. So if you go into the PMBOK guide, if you haven't read it before, it's got these 6 sections, and the 2 primary drivers are these project management principles, which I'll review in a second, and the project performance domains. And I highlight these other areas which are really important. There's a lot more focus on value delivery and how we're going to measure delivery of value and benefits. That was there before, but now it's a very large component of PMBOK. Tailoring, so we had adaptability before, but now you really have to take into account your organization and make changes to your project management methodology and the tools that you use. The other is models, methods, and artifacts. You really have a large set that you can use as needed, so it's not as dictated as previously in the other PMBOK guides. So the performance domains, and it's interesting because we read these and they seem kind of commonsensical, but they are different in the sense of being broader in what we have to take into account to be successful. So these are the project's performance domains. The development approach at lifecycle, I think this one addresses some of the tailoring so that you have the correct life cycle for the types of projects that you're going to be doing. Planning, this focused a lot on what the prior versions of PMBOK had. I mean, there are new additions, obviously based on the inclusion of agile and hybrid methods. But if you're looking to grasp something that was in prior versions, this planning section is probably a good one to focus on. Measurement, a lot more focus on making sure that again, you're focusing on the delivery of value and how you're going to actually maintain performance of the project and how you tackle performance issues. And then instead of risks, we talk about uncertainty, which it's a very agile oriented term, but we still manage risk. It's just that now we are managing in the context of embracing uncertainty in order to get to our project deliverables. The 12 project management disciplines, they read like the Agile Manifesto in some ways, and I think what's interesting here is that these are more behaviors of a project manager, which I think is going to require PMOs and project management organizations to focus on a lot of these, which appear as soft skills for a project manager. Be diligent, respectful, and caring steward. I mean, that's always been the case for project management. Now it's a project management discipline. So again, departure from what we were managing previously, because well, yes, these skills were part of being a project manager. Now they're actually a discipline that you have to, if you were to audit your organization and your project managers, you would have to take these into account and determine whether you're demonstrating, exhibiting these behaviors. So quick summary here, and I think the interesting, the overall approach to me, I think it's a primary importance, because we're providing guidance, mindset, actions, and behaviors rather than prescriptive actions. Again, the concept of adaptability comes to mind here. In terms of the basis of design, notice that we're again, the word outcomes. We're talking about projects outcomes in addition to deliverables. In other words, what the impact that we're actually having on the organization and the business value that we're delivering. Target audience, anyone involved in a project with a specific focus on team members. That means that if you were to update your project management methodology, portfolio management process, you have to make it consumable to anyone in the organization that's going to be involved, not only just your project managers, which is really the focus in prior versions. The last two, again, the concept of full value delivery, and there's a future slide I'll talk about the orientation of PMI. So this PMBOK 7th edition really opens the door for a PMI to redefine what a successful project really is to the organization. And I think the last one is probably, it was applied in prior versions, but I think now it's very explicit. You have to tailor to the requirements of your organization, how you actually deliver work. So another summary, again, from rigid structure to guidance, from detailed documentation to outcome orientation, from predictability to adaptability, compliance to continuous improvements, and fixed scope and plans become now value delivery. So those are things that we have to take into account. Now, what are the benefits? So why should you do this? The benefits, there are multiple benefits here. I highlight the three primary ones that, why would a senior leadership focus on this? Well, we're focusing on value delivery. I think senior leadership will be very pleased that that's really the purpose of what we're following PMBOK or aligning to PMBOK-7. Stakeholder engagement. So now, as project managers, portfolio managers, PMOs, we have to actually involve everyone in the organization. And those that are directly involved in our projects and will be impacted, anyone that will be impacted by the project outcomes. And then flexibility and adaptability, I can't say it enough. It's really what one of the tenets of this new approach in PMBOK-7. So, another, I think, important shift is, PMI wanting to redefine what project success really means. And we're going from scope, budget, and schedule to delivering value, and that's actually now the definition of a successful project: deliver value worth the effort and expense. And I think that's trying to repair some of the earlier surveys during the last 10, 15 years, actually 20 years, where the Standish group would come out and say only 16% of projects are actually successful. And I quoted 31% was the last number in their last Standish group benchmark. A PMI, based on their new definition, their survey reveals that 48% of projects are considered successful, while 40% fall into the gray area, which is interesting. I mean, that means that we still have a lot room for improvement. And then, 12% outright failures is probably, understated. But nevertheless, it's still higher than, the 16 and 30% that Standish group used. PMI is interested in making sure that, the value that they provide allows organizations to have more successful projects. So I think overall this is very good. And recently there was an announcement on this redefinition. I think it came together with the recent PMI and Global Congress that occurred. So this tailoring means that we have to be able to incorporate different project management approaches, and this is borrowed from their PMI Annual Global Summary on Project Management, and you can see that hybrid and agile now are 56%, so they've surpassed predictive approaches. But it's been over time, this growth. And I think that an interesting data point is that hybrid is actually greater than agile, which means that you could be using both approaches together if required by your project. So there is no absolutes in what we're seeing here. So if we go to the next one, I think the industry distribution of usage of approaches, I think it is also very telling. Construction will leads in predictive, and it probably will continue to lead in predictive just by the nature of a construction project. Not that you can't use hybrid and agile, as you can see, because there are some evidence of organizations, construction organizations using hybrid and agile approaches, but predictive continues to dominate. On the other end of the spectrum, software development or financial is the lead in agile, which is surprising, because I would think that in IT would lead, but it's really financial services, probably because of the predominance of technology products driven by software development. But even in that case, we still have survey respondents saying that there's the use of hybrid and agile. There's a wider, in the study there is a wider distribution of industries. Government, for instance, also came in with around 60% for predictive. I think the telling data point here is that hybrid and agile basically exist in every industry as a project management approach. So OnePlan has been actually the forefront talking about adaptive project portfolio management, and I went back and we actually have in our YouTube, and I'm sure it's not our very first foray into adaptive PPM, but back in 2019 we were presenting adaptive concept, and this is really brought by our customers, brought by the market. So it's nothing new. It's just the way that it has evolved and the requirement for your organizations to actually take it into account. In my last presentation, I talked about really that all organizations are really adaptive, and that's what those our survey, PMI surveys are actually showing. We're either adaptive or going to an enterprise agile model. But so how does this actually work? And I borrowed this also slide just to show, because I think it's pretty telling. And the first two are the ends of the spectrum are very explicit. If you're predictive, we are using phase-based approaches. This is a traditional schedule, scope, and budget. You have detailed requirements, and you're delivering something at the end of a project schedule. So that otherwise known as waterfall is within predictive. And agile, it's time box. You're going iterations and sprints. You're doing incremental development. I think that's a big word. And doing rolling weight planning. You're involving everyone in the organization, and then this will scale obviously as you're doing larger efforts into from features to epics to programs. In the middle it's really what's interesting, because that's, I think, what is providing the adaptability. Towards a predictive hybrid, we're gonna start using agile practices and techniques, and this is more about ceremonies actually than it is about the actual tools. You're probably still going to have a schedule, but the behaviors are changing in terms of what a project manager is doing. On the other side now, we're looking at sprints. You're actually planning sprints, and you have a product owner. So you're almost on the agile, and in the center is really where true hybrid is, where you might start with a predictive approach, detailed planning, but then you're going to use, and this happens a lot in large software development implementations. You'll have a development phase that's based on sprint, and that will probably take place in an agile planning tool. So you're going to have to incorporate that, and we'll talk about that in a second, into the overall picture of all of the projects that you're executing in the organization. OnePlan, we've taken the approach of actually creating a PMBOK solution template that provides that principle-based approach, focused on the performance domains, even some of the soft behaviors. You can drive some of them through, incorporate them within the use of the tool. Make sure that we're tailoring for the different project management frameworks, incorporate strategy execution so that you are focused on improving those outcomes and continuous improvement. So in our PMBOK template, these are kind of the design principles that we have in order to deliver on that on the promise. As I showed, since 2019, our product has actually incorporated agile, predictive, which is waterfall, and hybrid. So this is nothing new to us. It's just that we're again aligning to PMBOK 7 in order to focus on outcomes and value delivery. So the other phenomenon, which is probably one of the greatest values that OnePlan provides, is that you have tools across the organization in different functional areas, business units, and where work is being performed, where projects are actually being delivered. And this presents a huge challenge for leadership and a PMO, because it's very difficult to incorporate all within a single view. It's very difficult to apply governance, even if it's guidance-based, in order to determine, what are we going to be delivering to the organization strategically between all of our different efforts. So we find that this is, again, one of the more important benefits that you obtain from OnePlan. And it's not that other tools don't have integration capabilities, it's the approach that we take. We take actually that you can continue to manage that work in those other tools, but from a organizational strategic portfolio management perspective, you need to have it all, within one view, one inventory, so that you can understand interdependencies, understand status, understand resource load, cost, and then take action when these, any of these efforts that are being done in different tools are either delayed or are in conflict between other efforts in the organization. So that's the primary benefit of taking, OnePlan is your enterprise portfolio solution. And just as I mentioned, what you will do, you will have parts of the organization that are using different tools. Our integration capabilities will allow you to build that comprehensive portfolio inventory with rich data and status in terms of where it's at, the resources that are being utilized, the forecast, both a resource budget and timeline, and then the interdependencies with other efforts, other projects that are taking place in the organization. And as we mentioned before, you see here that I'm incorporating agile planning tools, because that's the tailoring component of PMBOK, of being able to use the right approach for that's required for the project, means that you're going to have to also accommodate agile planning as well as predictive waterfall planning. So just a point on, our platform allows integrations from really at this point any line of business system or work management tool. It depends on the requirements. We can bring the integration in as needed, either immediately or in later phases. It just depends again on the business need. Does the data need to be within your portfolio data set immediately? And that's a determinant of whether the integration gets included in an immediate, in the initial phase one. If you're talking about PMBOK 7 and the need to tailor and adapt, means that you are going to include, Jira, Azure DevOps, any other agile planning tool in that phase one, because you need to incorporate epics, features, stories as part of the overall planning of the enterprise portfolio for those, again, large efforts that that need to be, part of the overall enterprise inventory. But you can see here that it doesn't have to be only that. It can be financials. This is a likely second step when we do integrations, service management, and as I said, in terms of collaborative work management, the other tools that are being used in the organization for those major efforts, all those projects need to be actually brought into OnePlan. So initially, the work management and the agile backlogs will be incorporated into OnePlan, and then all of the other required data will follow. What we're trying to do is provide a solution for the different stakeholders in the organization, business leaders dealing with strategy, where we define the outcomes. The outcomes start with our objectives and key results in value stream portfolios. If you're doing enterprise agile, from there you have functional leaders that are, if you're in IT or managing product, you're going to be also developing application portfolios or product portfolios that have efforts that are going to drive transformation. And then PMO leaders, what we call execution leaders, are going to be managing all of it really, but driving the agenda with PMBOK, with the PMBOK guidance that we just talked about. So that's where OnePlan comes in and gives you the solution that allows you to incorporate all of this data and all these inputs from the stakeholders. This is a high-level visualization of, and it's really simplified. We've simplified it further from the ones that you've seen purposely. It's representing what I will call a generic life cycle of how projects and portfolios get created. This can be broken up further. For instance, I have current customers that the strategy and demand actually, this breaks up into 3 different phases. Planning breaks up into 3 additional different phases. Execution takes up additional 3 phases. So what I'm stating is that, again, these are summary large blocks that could be, have their own workflows and their own steps that would represent what you're doing in your organization. So really the concept is that we're generating demand from strategy, from ideas, requests from our customers. That has to go through analysis. It has to go through approval, filtering and approval of different stakeholders before it actually becomes part of the portfolio that portfolio managers and a PMO will be taking care of. You have portfolio planning, capacity planning in terms of the resource usage, financial planning, and then what is scenario modeling that allows you to commit to a set of projects and resources that you will be delivering. From here, it comes into the actual execution. This is more of your traditional project management, whether you're doing it in an agile backlog or in a waterfall WBS. OnePlan has a scheduling engine and a backlog capability, but as you see here, we represent that we're integrating the different tools where the projects might be being delivered, and you can manage everything else about the project, its governance, its risk issues. Within OnePlan, you will be managing tasks, schedules, backlogs. You might be managing task schedule backlogs and other tools, and that's what we're going to bring in to give you the full picture. Resource management is one of the strengths of OnePlan, and here we have the ability for resource managers to be involved, the owner of the resources, in defining how they're going to assign resources to different projects as project managers are making the request. And then, finally, team members can, have an important part in updating tasks or completing timesheets if you choose to use that capability. So plan managers here are project managers or product owners or scrum masters. Finally, analysis. We need the output of the data and the analysis and insights in order to know what the change, it really should be represented as a cycle, because after analysis comes changes that we're going to make to strategy and planning. But we have a strong status report snapshot mechanism, dashboards within the tool and in Power BI, and then finally visualizations to show interdependencies and associations. The tool and every part of it is supported by Sophia GPT, and I think that brings an important element. I'll talk about it more deeply in a few minutes, but this is another reason why you would need to incorporate all projects from all systems. So the OnePlan, the data is required for you to leverage Gen AI. So if you don't have that data within OnePlan, you might only be getting half the picture, half the answer for any type of Gen AI output. So that's another reason for making sure that you're incorporating, all projects and all work within OnePlan in order to give you the ability to leverage Gen AI to its full capacity. So another aspect of OnePlan is really having the ability to incorporate all parts of the organization. So what we're finding is as we're scaling, we have different parts of the organization wanting, or needing to be part of OnePlan. So while the PMO starts with, the largest and greatest efforts that contribute to the strategy and have the greatest spend, OnePlan can actually also provide very specific project management capabilities to the different business units and functions of the organization within the same solution. In other words, the PMO will be able to, incorporate, roll up, if you will, everything that strategically is being done by the different business units. But innovation and transformation will want to have its own, if you will, space or area within OnePlan where they will be working on their initiatives, as well as the ones that are contributing to the overall enterprise project management office. Same thing goes with IT and the rest of the areas of the organization. In other words, everyone can be working within OnePlan in their own area, while at the same time contributing to that enterprise-wide view that tells us, how we're working together. Now, the other aspect is that, again, based on what I just stated about PMBOK 7, the solution needs to have the capability to accommodate the different ways of working from all these different areas, and that's another benefit that OnePlan has. OnePlan allows you to have different templates for different parts of the organization within those areas, to isolate data and projects, to different parts of the organization based on, their permission model. So that's another important component, to try to hone in on and have that single point of view on your enterprise project inventory and portfolios by having OnePlan address, the specific needs of every one of these different areas. So, we introduced Sophia GPT, our AI capability, some time ago, and we're continuing to develop it. There's a lot of, as Azure OpenAI evolves, we are updating the capabilities within the tool. I have a couple of things I want to show you which are really interesting, but it continues, and probably for some time will continue to be an AI-based assistance for project managers, portfolio managers. I think if anything, it's making us more effective and supporting the roles, our roles and our use cases as project managers. There's still a lot of decision making that project managers and portfolio managers need to do, even with the output of the tooling. Yes, it will get better, but I think we're still it is still an assistant for all of us, but we need to learn how to use it, learn how to leverage it in order to make us more effective and really raise our game based on these capabilities. So Sophia GPT, again, AI-driven collaboration. It's based on Azure OpenAI, so it's very secure. It's working within the closed Azure cloud that we operate, and it follows a lot of the Gen AI capabilities that are in the market. We've tailored it and harnessed it in order to leverage the data that's within OnePlan in order to provide those superior outputs, and to be able to also deliver on the use cases, which is creating narratives, supplementing data, as well as doing analysis. So just as an example, when in every one of the screens, the user experience for OnePlan, you will always find Sophia GPT in the bottom here. where you will be able to invoke and prompt in order to get the analysis that you're looking for. We continue to invest in this area very heavily. There's a lot of exciting new features that are coming out. I'm going to show a couple, but we see in the portfolio management space, strategic planning, analysis and insights, portfolio optimization, being able to get to those scenarios quicker in order to balance portfolios, work management, in terms of resources, tasks, timelines, risk assessment, portfolio risk assessment, project risk assessment, resource allocation. I think that everyone's looking for that magic bullet, and we're working to improve OnePlan with Sophia GPT in order to get to more accurate responses. And then investment forecasting. What do I need to change in order to manage better cost budgets and forecasts on my projects? Okay, so real quickly, this is our PMBOK template. We're still making refinements to it, but this is the latest version. It is available right now within our template gallery if you're interested in testing it out. It looks very similar to our other templates. There's some subtle differences that we've made in order to accommodate PMBOK. And again, because of that's another virtue of OnePlan. You have infinite possibility to change it and make it your own. So while it's a template, it's a starting point to tailoring it for your organization based on what you're doing. So this is our homepage, by the way, which allows you to look at your insights and compliance insights, projects that you are working on or have been shared with you. And it could be any type of what we call plan type. In fact, we have a lesson learned here that I register. So that's an interesting concept because it's an important part of PMBOK 7 in terms of learning and adapting. Recent conversations for collaboration, again, driving some of the behaviors with stakeholders, by the way, would be making better use of conversations, threads, and comments. And in terms of the work that has to be completed, that shows here in terms of what's due. So in terms of aligning to PMBOK 7, I just want to highlight that, in terms of strategy will be a lot more important. We're again driving to outcomes, so making sure that you have your objectives and key results, whether it's in a single level that you see here, or whether it's a hierarchy, because we do have the ability to expand this to incorporate the business units. These are corporate OKRs that we're showing. But the concept is that you have to articulate these, and more importantly, you have to align your project efforts to the KRs that are going to deliver your objectives. So here we have the ability to create new items or look at items that have already been associated that are going to assist us in meeting the key metrics, the key result metrics. From a strategy execution standpoint, the concept of value delivery and business outcomes begins at this level. So, and here we have the ability to, look at key results by status with their trend, because we're snapshotting the objective by business unit. So this is important because, again, we have to incorporate everyone, all of the different parts of the organization into our enterprise portfolio, which means that if parts of the organization are responsible for these objectives and key results, and they have to be included within OnePlan. Here we have a project. It's called Data Warehouse Migration. We're kind of low on our target number. I want to inspect our data warehouse migration project just to see how we're doing. And here is where really for a project manager or a Scrum Master product owner, you will have a life cycle that you're managing In this case, it's a predictive waterfall lifecycle. What does this template have that's different from our other templates? And I'll go here and I'll go to my data warehouse. Sorry for that change. Just that this one is still in the works. You will notice if you're using some of our other, I've used OnePlan previously or tested some of our other templates, we have basically incorporated artifact management within the details. And this is going to evolve also over time. But essentially what we're doing is making sure that your templates, and again, if you're updating your project portfolio management methodology to be more aligned to PMBOK v7, this is now a starting point that incorporates a lot of the artifacts and the content that is required to be aligned to PMBOK v7. So it is what I would call, probably more extensive project details page with a lot more content. You see quality management that's not within our standard strategic portfolio management page. Project details. You can see that we've incorporated a lot more content within it. Now, in every one of the narratives, this is the more interesting part of it. And I'll go back up here. I think this is pretty exciting because what this means is your starting point for developing your artifacts can be the information that's within OnePlan based on the structure and outline of a template. So in this case, it gave me what I think it's good enough. So I'm going to proceed and accept it. I could just retry if it didn't have what I wanted. It did have the content, the outcome that I wanted, the data processing speed, which is really my business outcome. In this case, I'm going to actually also be able to then print it and save it. For expedience sake, I did it as PDF, but you will be able to take it to Word. And then once you take it to Word, you can actually then also manage it or save it in your folders in your project, which in our case it's going to be Teams, and which I'll show in a second. But this is a very novel approach of actually being able to use your updated templates aligned on PMBOK v7 to actually have all your artifacts developed that you might require, and then obviously have them saved and for review by the rest of the project team, and they can go through their own version control and change cycle as needed. So that's our new capability that we have within incorporating Gen AI within the plan details sections. There's a lot more that's going to be added that's not showing here. I could have added another artifact to reference when the scope management plan was created. So more to come, but we now have the ability to manage templates within Gen AI. So, and I'm going now to return to our demonstration site. So I've generated every one of my different templates like I showed, and I could be printing them or saving them within Teams. What will happen is you will have we will be in a position where from that save action, I could be within the Teams workspace for data warehouse migration, and then see the same scope management plan and business case that I just created. So in this case, I basically saved my PDF directly within Teams. But the business case, I also did the same thing. So my business case now is, and obviously you're going to have the ability to edit it and make changes to it before you make it final and put it within your folder. But every one of these is actually been generated by leveraging templates that you might already have. And again, assuming that you're going through the process of updating for PMBOK v7, all of these outlines are basically being used as part of the prompt in the plan details. So again, it's pretty exciting because that which I just showed you is actually referencing this outline that's within this document. So you can Gen AI basically use this as part of the prompt in order to come up with the output, and that's what a project manager would have the ability to leverage that. You can apply these same steps to every artifact that you have. So if you want to actually have your charter within the plan details in a section and have it be generated by Sophia GPT, you absolutely can. There's no limitation in terms of how you can use this. So just like I did the scope management plan, we could have your charter reference your charter outline from your template and then have it be generated. Now, it's really important I mentioned, and all of you know this, if you've used generative AI, we need to have data. So all of your fields need to be included. All of the relevant data that will be required to generate that charter, you will want to have it represented in some way. I mentioned being able to attach documents, which it's an interesting concept, because if I did this, the charter example that somebody just asked for, and I came here and added a requirements document, for instance, then it would be able to reference the requirements document in order to generate my charter. So that is not showing here, but it is a committed feature that we will be delivering, so that you can append documents in order to use it as foundational information for completing the prompt. So the project details is, again, one important section, and that will allow you to then generate all the artifacts. You will be able to include them within your team workspace, as I said. Additional, within the construct of PMBOK-7, and we've been doing this again since prior to 2019. OnePlan, you can see that the life cycle is different. So the ability to accommodate all the different project management approaches is the critical component. So then you can have an overall inventory of the enterprise, and with all the portfolios and programs and projects that are being executed in different tools. So it can be Monday, it can be Jira, it could be Microsoft Planner, Smartsheet. We see a lot of that. And then, as I said, the agile work being done in Azure DevOps or Jira. The team icons show that there's a team workspace attached to them. So you see here the business unit. That's really important, because we're, again, trying to incorporate and have that overall project inventory of everything that's going to be adding value to the organization. And in fact, I could go to my summary, and in this case, be looking at the different business units. So I'm looking at all projects. Now, I'm a portfolio manager. If I was only in IT, I would only be able to only look at my IT projects. So you would be, from a security standpoint and from a data access standpoint, only be able to look at IT. So although all projects in the organization are showing, no matter where they're being executed, if I'm within IT, I'm only going to be able to look within IT if that's my my permission model. So again, that's an example of being able to roll up all work from all different work management systems, line of business systems into OnePlan. So other important, let's go to our data warehouse migration. Our ability to generate project plans is also enhanced. So I'm just going to take look here. We have already a schedule, so this project's already in execution, but there might be a need to append, for instance, this doesn't include any of the security review that I need to do, so maybe I need to insert a template. So you can append templates. So we highly recommend to all of our customers to have enterprise templates that can be incorporated and used by project managers in this case. So the concept is that I can either through Azure OpenAI or through a template, I could insert, whether again it could be a personal, online, or import. I could actually at the end of the project, append and add additional tasks as needed. So that's really the value of relying on. The concept here would be that at the end, I would have the task for what I wanted to do. In this case, it was a security review that I wanted to append. Now I could append it here manually, by the way, but the objective was to actually have it show within, be generated by GenAI. Now, a couple of other things we talked about for PMBOK v7, the need to work in a hybrid fashion. So in this case, I do have a schedule, but I could be incorporating within this schedule backlog items that are coming from an agile planning tool or that I've done in OnePlan. So again, important to note that this is effectively, if you remember the slide where I had the hybrid planning, where I would use a schedule and I would use also backlog planning. This is the ability to actually incorporate all of these or whatever I wanted within my schedule. Now, the OnePlan work plan does have a backlog also, so you can be working in both modes at the same time or jointly. And again, this is where integration comes in with agile planning tools. In this case, it's Jira or Azure DevOps. So important, very important element in terms of PMBOK-7 and the ability to work in hybrid mode. Other interesting capability we have, as you can see, the ability to manage risk, issues, changes. All of those appear at the, within our details page, or you can have them appear within your details page in the PMBOK template. So again, we've made it much more comprehensive in terms of everything that's shown. Here's my risk, issue, and change management, all within my details page. I don't have to go to the work plan. And then at the same time, they at an enterprise level, if I wanted to, in this case, I've decided I want to have all my lessons learned roll up because I want to make them available to everyone in the organization to review. And I have extensive, details. The lessons learned can have its own life cycle and workflow, by the way, which can also have, workflow stages be managed and also notifications sent to individuals in order to complete them. So in this case, we've included, this is not in our strategic portfolio management, it can be, but for the PMBOK template, we're focusing on lessons learned, more of the trying to again align to the disciplines and behaviors that are required. Let's go back and complete our presentation. So what I've tried to show is how OnePlan can facilitate project management office seeking to improve SPM through aligning to PMBOK-7. Our template is aiming to be principle-based and outcome-focused. Again, looking at the guidance from PMBOK v7, as we've done for our history, we're including the flexibility for predictive agile and hybrid, which is a very important component of PMBOK. And there we enable the PMO to integrate, the different project management approaches, rolling up the data in order to have that visibility. Resource and financial management, I didn't touch on it that much when I showed the demo, but those are strengths of our solution in order for you to see availability across all resources. and also the ability to do budget budget actuals and forecasts. Also, very important to track benefits. So we have benefits within our financial planner, and which is again geared towards the business outcome and business value that PMBOK-7 focuses on. I showed some new features within our AI capability and also our reporting, and that will continue to become enhanced as we release more features. And then finally, integration with work management tools, so you can have that overall inventory of what the organization is delivering in terms of projects and portfolios. Again, there's workflow capability notifications to drive governance and best practices aligned to PMBOK version 7. So for those that don't know us, we are recognized by industry analysts, Gartner, Forrester, Infotech, and others within the Microsoft ecosystem. We're an important player, having been project portfolio management partner of the year finalist and winner. We continue to support Microsoft and the Microsoft stack, which is very close to our own, since we're an Azure-based solution. The template that I showed is available for testing and use. It's a PMBOK portfolio management software template. We'll continue to make refinements to it, but it is available right now for use. And if you need assistance in setting it up or making changes to it, please make contact. As we always communicate, we have our trials available, complimentary roadmap workshop, and a personalized one-on-one demo. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and look forward to having you in another one of our webinars. Thanks, everyone.